Have you ever met those people who just seem to be able to get everything done? Um, that are just ultra productive. It's like no project goes untouched, no task goes undone. It seems like they are super organized and things like that. Those people are frustrating, aren't they? Because sometimes you think you've planned out your best day, and it all comes crumbling down. And so, we all want to be as productive as we absolutely possibly can, and each one of us are looking for tricks and tips to become more productive. So I thought I'd share 5 killer steps to becoming more productive. Now, again, this is very personal, and so what fits for me may not fit for you, but I thought I would share, and hopefully you can gain some insight here to becoming more productive. So the first one is a tidy workspace, and not saying during each one of your your Facebook Live. So I apologize for that. This is becoming a regular thing, and I'm trying to get better at it each and every single time. But making sure that you actually just speak to the subject and not say every 5 minutes when you're thinking. It's harder than you think. So let's go back to the tidy workspace. Regardless of whether you work in an office all the time, you're a field technician and you're out in the field, you travel all the time, you're in your car all the time. I've had a number of different jobs. Some where I'm in a store and I happen to share an office with a lot of other people. I was as a store manager, and so I had a space that I kept organized for myself, and that always helps me in my productivity. I also was a district manager, and I spent a lot of time, the majority of my time, in a car. And so my office basically was my car. And so keeping that tidy and keeping things where you can access them very quickly, very easily, is a key to productivity. Sometimes you'll hear that a messy desk makes for people who are ultra productive. They know where things are and all that kind of stuff. I'm just not one of those type of people. I have to be organized. I like to keep things neat. I like to put things back where they were when I got them or when I use them. That's my perfectionism, I guess, and which can cause issues as well. But to be productive for me means that everything in its place, everything has a place. So it's keeping a tidy and neat workspace. The second tip is become part of the 20%. So what do I mean by that? Part of the 20% is some of the books that you read will talk about segmenting your day into different parts where you're always productive and working to accomplish projects. Sometimes we can get very reactionary in the things that we do on a daily basis. So what is being part of the 20%? Being part of the 20% is setting aside or blocking off in your calendar 20% of your day, which is about 90 minutes if you work an 8-hour day. Longer if you work a longer day. But 90 minutes of each day should be totally focused on working on your project. Go down your task list, redo your task list, something associated with that project to move it forward. What did you do today in that 90 minutes to move a project forward? Now, this goes back to some other topics that we've talked about before about multitasking. You can't multitask. This is about focusing on the next step to move that project forward. Is it writing that email sequence? Is it doing a video like this and making sure you have time to do it, or planning it out, or what you're going to say? Is it what's the next step in that project that you're doing that's going to move it forward? If it's delegating other things, then it's delegating other things. But if you'll spend that 90 minutes going through that task list and accomplishing the next item, then you will have made progress today. It still gives time for reactionary stuff. It still gives time for conference calls and meetings and other things that can truly blow up your productivity. But setting that 90 minutes aside to just work on projects, turn the email off, all that kind of stuff. So that's the third step. So first step was tidy workspace, make sure that you're organized. Second step, be part of the 20%. Third step, beware of productivity killers. See my notes right here. That's what I keep referencing. So beware of these productivity killers. Your cell phone. Turn it off. Don't answer the phone. One of the hardest things I had to accomplish when I left the stores, from being a store manager, assistant manager, working in retail, to an office position or a leadership position where I managed other people, was not answering the phone every time it rung. Because in a retail environment, that's what you do, or in a restaurant, or most businesses, you don't want people to wait. If they're calling you, you want to answer so that you can help them, invite them into the store, see if you can help troubleshoot. That's what you do. That's exactly opposite of what you should be doing when you are managing your time, and because that puts you in reactionary mode. If you're in that 90 minutes, like what we just talked about, and you are focused on a project and the phone rings and you pick it up, you've just destroyed all the progress that you were making up to that particular point. So don't answer the phone. Pick times in the day that you can return phone calls, things like that. Turn it off. Turn off the phone. Stop answering it. You pick the times when you actually speak to people. There's nothing that urgent. And sometimes, well, what happens if there's a family emergency? Well, in my case, I've created a system and had a discussion with all of my family that I'm not going to answer the phone if I'm in a meeting or in a project or involved in that. I'm not going to answer a text message. I'm not going to answer the phone, all that kind of stuff. Unless you call me and then immediately call me back, then I'll answer the phone, because that means that's a signal to me that there's an emergency. And so create that with your significant other, your spouse, husband, wife, whatever, some code that lets you know that it's urgent and they need you to interrupt whatever you're doing. Otherwise, it's not that urgent. It doesn't matter who's calling. A client, and yes, clients are important. Your boss, all those kinds of, your boss wants you to be as productive as you possibly can be. And they're not upset if you don't answer the phone. They don't expect you to be sitting there waiting each and every single time the phone rings. So cell phones, texting, turn it off. The next piece is internet. If you're focused and you work on a computer, don't get on the internet. Don't have a different browser open where you're able to search. This is something that you have to fight. A lot of times when you're in a project, maybe you need to go out and look up a quote or look up something else. Try not to get distracted in using the technology. Focus again on the project. Social media, Instagram, turn off all the notifications, all that kind of stuff. So the technology is great, but it can interrupt your productivity. Beware of the productivity killers, and there's a lot of them. So again, tidy workspace, part of the 20%. Beware of the productivity killers. Number 4, make prioritization a priority. If you do a task list every day, one, do you write it down the same task list every single day, or are you one that, like I'll start one every week. Every week I'll make a task list. Next week I'll go through it of the things I've marked off and make a new task list. But part of that is prioritizing that task list and making sure that you are able to, again, know what's next. What's that next step? And that changes on a daily basis or per project. Somebody else may have got something done, those types of things. It changes regularly on that particular piece. So make prioritization a priority. And that's also prioritizing your day in meetings, in the 90 minutes that we talked about, but specifically related to tasks that you have on your list. And then the last item is seek out the sun. Now that one's a weird one for a lot of people, but if you work in an office and you don't have a window that you can see outside, take 10 minutes, stop what you're doing during the day and go outside. You'll be surprised at how much more productive it makes you when you take a deep breath of fresh air, when you're in the middle of a project and you happen to be kind of stuck in a particular place. take a break, go outside, get some sunlight. Vitamin D is a good thing. So there, my sunlight right in my office. Make it a priority. Make sure that, you know, getting that vitamin D, just having that exposure to the outdoors actually will help you become a lot more productive. So now for my shameless pitch, I'm not going to do a video where I don't actually make an offer. That is something that I'm learning in marketing. I want to provide value, and I hope the information that I have shared this morning has provided some value to you in being more productive. 5 killer ways to be more productive. If you would like for you or your team to become more productive in collecting information, taking photos, taking surveys, site inspections, any type of service business, if you're collecting information for your clients and things like that, we can help you be more productive utilizing the Go eView software platform. It's a software as a service. It's simple to create surveys, create inspections, create checklists, get rid of using that paper and utilize an electronic piece. But what it really hones in on, and specifically designed for retailers, restaurant, multi-site, multi-property owners and things, is the reporting piece. It helps you consolidate reporting and build reports on any aspect of an inspection or checklist, not against one location, but against thousands of locations, so that you can do that. Check us out at goeview.com. And we've also got a free risk assessment checklist, goeview.com, GOEVIEW.com. We'd love to hear from you. In the comments, I'd love to hear what it makes you most productive. So reach out to me, let me know. If you're listening to this on the podcast, send us an email at troybatchelor@frenchcompanyllc.com. Would love to get your feedback on it. Hope you have a very productive day and productive week. Have a great time. See ya.